The history of medicine is full of cases that, from today's perspective, are strange and that make us wonder, did this really happen? From unlikely transplants to operations in unimaginable conditions, today we will explore the strangest surgeries ever performed. And stay until the end, because you will learn how far medicine has come. When medicine exceeds the limits of reality. Modern medicine is incredible. Procedures that seemed impossible 100 years ago are now routine, but there are stories of surgeries so unusual that it is hard to believe. Some of these stories have even become myths. Have you ever heard of someone who performed surgery on themselves? Does it sound like a scene from a movie? Well, I will tell you some of these real stories that defied the odds and helped shape what we know as modern medicine. Truly strange surgeries. True or false? Here are some of the most impressive and unexpected surgeries ever documented. You can already comment on each one of them. First, self-surgery. Removing your own appendix. This really happened. In 1961, Russian doctor Leonid Rogozov, 27 years old, was at a research station in Antarctica when he developed appendicitis. With no other surgeons around, he took the extreme step of operating on himself. Using only local anesthesia and a mirror to see what he was doing, he removed his own appendix. And the most amazing thing, the surgery was a success. Leonid made a full recovery, showing incredible surgical skills and impressive mental and physical strength. He reported the following before the surgery. There are no obvious symptoms of an impending perforation yet, but a feeling of foreboding oppresses me. That's it. I have to think in detail about the only possible way out, to operate on myself. It's almost impossible, but I can't just fold my arms and give up. According to the BBC Brazil website, since this adventure, expedition members from all over the world must remove their appendix before going to the South Pole. Let's move on to the second case. Second, brain surgery with the patient awake. It may seem like something out of science fiction, but performing brain surgeries with the patient awake is a practice that has been used to avoid damage to critical areas of the brain. This technique is called awake surgery, where the patient interacts with doctors while they operate on their brain. This way, neurosurgeons can identify and avoid areas that affect speech, movement, or memory, ensuring that the procedure is as precise as possible. In some cases, patients talk or even play musical instruments during the operation, a surprising and deeply fascinating insight into the complexity of the human brain. Let's move on to the third case. Third, face transplant, a modern miracle. Have you ever imagined the complexity of a face transplant? The first nearly complete face surgery performed in the U.S. on a woman named Connie Culp. She suffered an attack that severely disfigured her face and, after years of attempts at reconstruction, doctors decided to perform a full face transplant. The process involved replacing parts of her nose, cheeks, eyelids, and lips in one of the most complex surgeries in the history of medicine. This procedure, which seemed like something out of a science fiction movie, was a milestone in medicine and transformed the patient's life. Now, before we continue, leave your like if you're enjoying these incredible stories. It really helps the channel, okay? Let's go. As unusual as they may seem, these procedures reveal the power of medicine and the evolution of surgeries over the years. Let's go to the fourth. Lobotomy, the controversial procedure. Lobotomy was a controversial surgical procedure, described today as absurd, performed during much of the 20th century, in which parts of the brain were removed or cut to treat serious psychiatric disorders. These were interventions that consisted of turning off the right and left frontal lobes of the entire brain, aiming to modify behavior or cure mental illness. Although today it is seen as an outdated and unethical procedure, at the time it was considered a hope for patients with serious mental conditions. The practice fell into disuse with the development of more effective medications with fewer side effects from 1950 onwards. 5A. Surgeries performed without anesthesia. A painful past. Today, anesthesia is an essential part of any surgical procedure. But have you ever stopped to think about what surgeries were like before the discovery of anesthesia in the 19th century? The first general anesthesia was performed in 1846. Before, patients had to be tied down or held down while doctors performed amputations or other painful procedures. The discovery of anesthesia was a true revolution, allowing complex surgeries to be performed with much greater safety and less suffering. Thomas Green Morton was the inventor and the first person to use ether to perform surgery. He was a dentist, and after several experiments, he designed a device that allowed ether to be inhaled to perform painless tooth extractions. The first surgical patient was a 17-year-old boy named Gilbert Abbott, who had a tumor in his neck. Thomas Green Morton participated in the surgery alongside surgeon John Collins Warren. The procedure was a success and marked the first effective application of general anesthesia. Thankfully, this is a thing of the past, but it is interesting to remember how much we have evolved in terms of medical technology. So, what did you think of this brief history of some medical procedures? Which one do you think most contributed to our current state of development? Remember to subscribe to the channel and share the video with your network of contacts. There is another very interesting video that I think you will also like. Just click on the screen. Here, Daniel Coriolano, a big hug, and see you next time.